What injuries can you get from being rear-ended? Well, let's begin with the most common injuries. Most common injuries after a car crash, whether it's a rear-end crash, a T-bone crash, or a head-on collision, involve spinal injuries. In my experience, far and away, the most common injuries are injuries to your cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. Typically, you learn a lot about your injuries once you get to the point where the doctors order MRIs. An MRI is what reveals injuries to the soft tissues in your bodies, as opposed to an X-ray, which is what reveals injuries to the hard bony structures. MRIs are important for neck and back injuries because they reveal whether you injured any of the discs that are in your spine. Common spinal injuries after a car crash include everything from sprained strain injuries to bulging discs, to protruding discs, to herniated discs, to accompanying annular tears, and there's plenty more ways that radiologists describe injuries to the discs in a spine. And then depending on the results of your MRI, what we typically do at TrialPro is we set up additional appointments for you to meet with board-certified spine specialists, usually either board-certified neurosurgeons or board-certified orthopedic surgeons who specialize in spinal injuries. Now, spinal injuries are not the only type of injuries that you can sustain in a car crash. Plenty of people also hit their knees on the steering wheel or the dashboard or the door. Their bodies get thrown around in a violent crash. So it's also common for our clients to develop shoulder pain, knee pain, ankle pain. It's always interesting to me. Drivers in car crashes often sustain wrist injuries or shoulder injuries. And you think about it, you're driving, you tense up if you see an accident's about to happen and you instinctively grip the steering wheel. The force of that collision transfers through the vehicle, up the wheel, into your wrist and arm. Jolts your wrist, jolts your shoulder, common injuries. Another common injury we see, especially from rear-end collisions, if people see that it's about to happen, they instinctively press down on the brake with their right foot as hard as they can. Same thing, force transfers through and people sustain foot and ankle injuries. So there's really not any type of injury that you can't sustain in a car crash. Most important thing though is to identify what's bothering you as soon as possible, be as thorough as possible in conveying all of those symptoms to your doctors every time you go to any medical appointment, and then work with us to make sure that as we learn more and more about your injuries through MRIs and other types of tests and the opinions of your doctors, that we set up appointments for you as soon as possible with the best specialists for that particular type of injury. Happy to speak with you more about your injuries or your questions. Chat with us live anytime at trialpro.com, and you're always welcome to call us at 1-800-TrialPro.